theology of play, I believe that most of us don't play enough in life. Sometimes when we do try to play, it becomes work. So then, is it really play? If we're working so hard at having fun, why is it so hard for us to play enough in life? Because either we fear doing so, because it's not proper, or we simply don't know how to do so. One of the ways we don't play very well is caused by the fact that we are indeed working at playing. Consider the following story. The novelist Maxim Gorky wrote books about the hardships of his growing up in 19th century Russia. In addition, his deprivations included 2 intervals in exile, totaling 14 years. So it's rather surprising to consider his assessment of the day he spent at one of our own country's premier places of fun, Coney Island. On that particular day, the amusement park was thronged with visitors, and Gorky and his American host sampled the sights. All seemed very well until they were leaving the park, and that is when his friends asked the writer what he had thought of the experience, and he informed them, "What a sad people you must be." Well, Gorky is generalizing. There are people at amusement parks then and now that do genuinely appear to be having fun, but there are others who appear to be quite miserable. They just seem to be working so very hard at trying to have fun, at playing, that they aren't having fun at all. I would like to say that this is a postmodern dis-ease, this rush to recess, brought on by all the stresses of our day. When I sit in my office and the kids are released for recess, you should see the glory they have in the freedom. And perhaps that's how you feel after the sermon. The same kind of thing, a rush to recess after the service. But you should be having fun in church too, I have fun in church, or I wouldn't be doing this. Well, I do think it's a postmodern dis-ease. We try so hard to play in this country. We are so bemused by amusement. We spend billions of dollars on it. To what avail? Nor is this merely an American phenomenon. The world seems to be working at playing. But then, is this really play? Well, it is not really play. Ever go to a football game? How serious it is. But then, why should we care about this subject at all today? This is just a flippant kind of thing we're about today. I don't think it is, because we don't realize that playing is a deeply spiritual quality. And when we don't play, we're less than fully alive. And by spirit, I mean the human spirit, the sense of all of it coming together, the congruence of your thought, your feeling, and your action. And that's when you're fully alive, when all of those and so many more concepts about being human come together at the same time. And when you're fully engaged in play, that's what's happening. Consider the deeper ramifications of this concept. Play is something that causes us to be more than we are. It releases the stress in us. It takes away the facades. It tells us to wake up and not take our life so seriously, to take ourself so seriously. It allows us to discover the more profound sense of who we might be. That's why we love watching the children. Don't we love watching the children just playing? I cannot resist quoting the prophet Jesus when he said, "Allow the little children to come unto me, for such is the kingdom of heaven." The prophet was telling us all to be childlike at times, to realize that most children, at least the ones who feel safe and loved, know how to play. Perhaps know is not even the right word. They just do. They just play. And that most of us were once like that too. So the question we want to consider this morning is, how might we cultivate a so-called theology of play? Let's try to answer this by putting things into philosophical perspective. Describing humanity according to our actions, Western philosophers categorize all of us into 3 areas. And these are crucial areas to understand Western thinking. If we accept the fact that we are thinking human beings who are in the pursuit of knowledge, then we are in the category of Homo sapien, or sapien, literally translated as wise man, meaning all of us. If we believe that we are active and industrious beings that must be about doing something constructive, then we're in a second category, and we are Homo faber. We are man, the maker. So we have man, the knowledge seeker, the wise person, and person, the maker, or man, the maker. But there is that third quality that we lose sight of, or that if we even have sight of, we make fun of. And this is Homo ludens, man at play. And these three areas are primary to understanding, from my perspective, from the Western civilization's perspective, what it means to be a human being. I personally believe that the complete human being has qualities of all three categories. This goes back to a book written in the 1930s called Homo Ludens, A Study of the Play Element in Culture. New scholars among us will know of this book. Here in part is what the author says in defining play. And when he did this, he was resoundingly criticized simply because he was bringing to the fore the old Greco-Roman concepts of all of this idea of man at play. But Huizinga said, it is a free activity standing quite consciously outside ordinary life as being not serious, but at the same time absorbing the player intensely and utterly. It is an activity connected with no material interest, and no profit can be gained by it. It proceeds within its own proper boundaries of time and space. Getting back to the ideal human being, we can see that some people are very good at combining what appears to be work with play and even knowledge. And the people who have the passion about what they do, what a gift they have to have that throughout their lives, to choose a work which is more than just a job, but a vocation in the Latin terminology, the vocare, that which calls you to something deeper, more meaningful, and totally engaging, something that you play with, whatever your job is, so that it is not a job per se, but it is play. But creative individuals are like that. The creativity transcends categories of activity. It's no longer work. It's complete absorption. In common, such individuals are absorbed by what they do, so much so that what appears to be work or pursuit of knowledge is really play. Other less creative types can be about the very same activity. But if their heart and mind are not absorbed by what they are doing, then they are not by definition playing. If there is no such awareness of the sense of a deeper quality within oneself that at the same time calls one outside of oneself to a place of ecstasy or ecstasies, standing outside of oneself, to a passion, to a sense of universality, to an oceanic feeling, an interconnection with all of existence, then it's not play, theologically speaking. The reality is that most people are not good at combining knowledge, activity, and play. Our modern society has been smothered a great deal by all those things that deny an element of play in our lives. We have become trapped into thinking that we are merely Homo sapien or Homo faber, people of the rational brain and hard-driven manner, with all our attendant rules and regulations, our committees and our memos, our pecking orders and our paperwork, our creeds and our dogma, our appropriate attire and choice of acquaintances, and those interminable emails, a deified event planner. So serious, so important are we, people of the serious way. We are so trapped by our reason and by our industry, we are so Homo sapien and so Homo faber, that the play element within us is struggling for survival. And because it is, we are not whole. We have forgotten the trinity of this particular trinity. Oh, it is essential that we have our sapiens, the intellects, those intellectual sermons. those heady adult education courses, those mind-stretching forms. And we have our fabers, too. Thank whatever fates might be for all these industrious, hard-working committees and groups. We need all of these things, but we must include our ludens. Perhaps I should have given you all little designations written on pieces of paper when you came in, saying that the fabers would sit here, and the sapiens would sit there, and the ludens, oh, there's a luden right over there. So what are you?